My publisher suggested a series of thrillers set in the years before the First World War, perhaps picking up off the back of Erskine Childers' The Riddle of the Sands. But I've always been fascinated by the First World War itself. Not so much the trench experience, I think a lot's been written about that already, but researching the secret war, the war between the intelligence services of both sides, I came across the story of the German sabotage operation in neutral America in 1915-1916, and that seemed to have everything. A battle fought on the streets and in the docks of New York, colourful characters, spies, traitors, a hero of the British Empire who became a traitor, and a German-American doctor who presented a frightening new face to the war by culturing biological weapons in the country of his birth. And that was the story I really wanted to write. It felt fresh and it offered a big canvas for the testing of my characters. One of the story threads of The Poisoned Tide is the German biological warfare campaign, the use of anthrax against the British. I was particularly fascinated by the character of Dr. Anton Dilger, the German-American doctor who spearheaded the campaign. What motivated him to turn to killing in the land of his birth? Like many of my characters, he struggles with divided loyalties. What's the right thing to do? Where do my loyalties lie? Doctor or soldier scientist, German or American, traitor or hero. In war, how does the individual hold on to their conscience, their freedom to do what is right when so many people are bullying them, influential people are bullying them to do their duty or what they believe is the person's duty? My hero in The Poisoned Tide, Sebastian Wolf, confronts many of these choices too. It's a story drawn from real events, and many of my characters are based or portray real people. There are authors, Hilary Mantel for instance, who argue that historical fiction should stick to the known facts. That's what she did with her book Wolf Hall, the story of Thomas Cromwell and Henry VIII. I'm not that sort of purist. I've changed the chronology of some events, the relationships between some of the people, even some of the events themselves. But my story is set 100 years ago. I know a lot more about the actions, feelings, thoughts of my characters, the real people in my story, than say an author who's writing about the 16th century or about Roman times. They left books, memoirs, letters, photographs, and I try to be true to the real people revealed in these. But I'm selective, I think that's half the battle with historical fiction, knowing what to keep and what to discard. My principal characters are fictional, but again, they're based on real people from the time. In the end, I hope The Poisoned Tide is true to the spirit of the times, and most of all, a believable story. All my heroes seem to be tortured heroes, not really heroes at all, men, ordinary men with very large feet of clay, even a spy like Sebastian Wolf. Dostoevsky said that he was to be found in both the good and the bad characters in his stories. And sitting for hours at a desk, you become part of the world of the story you're writing. Your imagination twists and turns. So Sebastian Wolf is a tortured hero, yes, by choices, by duty, by a vague sense that something better should emerge from the destruction of the war, by the values that his mother gave him, his past, by his conscience. But I think sort of most of what he feels is the stuff of all our ordinary lives, set in sharper focus by extraordinary times, by the war. The Poisoned Tide is the first of a trilogy of books based on the operations of the Secret Service Bureau, what we call today the Secret Intelligence Service, MI6. Characters overlap, Mansfield Cumming, the father of Britain's Secret Service, the first C, appears in all three, and some of the other characters overlap too. And all the stories take place during the First World War, the guts of the stories drawn from the service's files. The next one takes place in German-occupied Belgium, a mission to uncover the identity of the German spy who's penetrated Britain's military headquarters in France and who threatens the lives of thousands of Allied soldiers.